Hi, it's Gene, retired in Mexico, and I'm here with my special guest, Professor Gumbo from Phoenix, Arizona. Longtime friends. We go back over 50 years. And the professor was my mentor and gave me a lot of taste in music. And then over the years, over 50 years, we've developed some of our own unique tastes. And so it's a bit of a Venn diagram here, and looking forward to doing 1986 here. We're going to count down our 10 favorite albums and then pick two songs from each album. But first of all, let me check in with you. We haven't checked in yet. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and things weren't as bad as I thought they were. My blood sugar is high, but I'm taking care of that. He's changing my medications, and I'm getting an exercise bicycle because the problem was that my A1C, you know, it covers 3 months, and 3 months ago it was too it was too cold to swim. So I stopped swimming, and because of my bad knees, I can't walk. So I needed a new kind of exercise. So I'm going to start using the exercise bicycle. So sometime
Wow.
you might see me recording and I'll be on the bicycle.
Yeah, I'm thinking of joining a gym. I don't really want to, but if I do, I'll be committed to it. So, uh, yeah, just a lot of people talking to me about what they call longevity. So I have a different name for it. I just call it strengthening, but yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, enough of our medical history, I guess. Yeah, we're going to count those down. We're also going to do five honorable mentions. I am on Instagram, Patreon. I'm on Facebook, and all the links are up below in the About section. So we appreciate engagement, likes, bells, notifications, comments. It's all good. So, anyway, thank you for joining us if you're watching. And I'm going to give a little context about the year just to talk about what was 1986. And basically, there were two really bad things that happened in 86. So, one was, and let me make sure I got both of these correct. They both started with a CH. We had the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. Of course, that was a
Mm.
big deal because millions of kids were watching it on TV. The shuttle blew up in the air, and yeah, it was it was pretty horrific. I think we all remember that. And then in Russia, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster that killed a bunch of people and gave radiation sickness to a lot of others. That was a disaster. A couple world leaders split their country. Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines and Baby Doc of Haiti both fled. They got out of town. News reports from Lebanon. We first started hearing about the Iran Contra arms for hostages scandal that embroiled the Reagan administration. So that was a big deal. Desmond Tutu became the first black Anglican bishop of South Africa. So, of course, Tutu would go on to become quite a big figure. And Miles Davis even did an album called Tutu. The phrase going postal is coined after an Oklahoma post office shooting. Pixar was founded. Phantom of the Opera premiered in London. Is Andrew Lloyd Webber British or is he American?
No, he's British.
Okay. So Phantom of the Opera, yeah, that was a big deal. We had the first Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So all those early 50s rock and rollers, Ray Charles, James Brown, Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, all those people were inducted. Sam Phillips of Sun Records and Jerry Lee Lewis, all those guys were inducted that year. Deaths included Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy, Richard Manuel of the band, and Cliff Burton of Metallica, the bass player. Top films were Top Gun, Crocodile Dundee, Platoon, Aliens, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, just to mention a few. And the top singles, you ready for this? Professor Berlin, Take My Breath Away, Falco, Rock Me Amadeus, Dionne Warwick, That's What Friends Are For, Madonna, Papa Don't Preach, and the Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian. Does that bring back some memories?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good and bad, huh?
Yeah. I
So
was
we've been, oh, go
when,
ahead.
for the shuttle, the Challenger explosion. I was ill at home watching TV when, so I saw it live.
Yeah, it sucked. And of course, there was a school teacher on board there. And well, so much. I just talked to somebody this week who said that my friend Tony said that she was his son's teacher up in New England. So, yeah. Anyhow, we're taking turns going first, and the professor is starting on the even years. This is 1986, which is an even year. So, I'm going to let you kick it off with your number 10 pick.
Okay. My number 10 pick is The Smiths, and my favorite album by The Smiths, The Queen is Dead. Um, Largely many people's favorite album by them. They had worked their way up and hit their stride with this album. Um, it was becoming less the Smiths and more the sound that Morrissey would continue with. I mean, Morrissey really stood out, but you had Johnny Marr and on guitars, and the band was still the Smiths, but it really Morrissey's personality really came through on this one. And Morrissey's an interesting lyricist because um, he can be very serious, and at the same time, and this is what's in, I mean, a lot of people can be either funny or serious, but he can be both. He can be both serious and funny. And the title track, "The Queen is Dead," um, it's a little story where he breaks into the palace, and the queen, her majesty, tells him that his singing is awful, and he says that if you think that's bad, you should hear me play piano. um, and so it's very much that wry Morrissey humor. The other song is more of a more sentimental song. I Know It's Over.
Okay.
So
Wow.
The Queen is Dead. Queen is dead, and I know it's over.
That's a critically praised album. I think Pitchfork gives it 10.0 and All Music 5 stars. Yeah, it seems to be it's top five on Rate Your Music, seems to have universal acclaim. So, yeah, great pick. I love it. My number 10. This won't surprise you, I don't think. And I've got to make a real quick correction on my spread list here. Just give me a real quick second. So anyway, I'm going to go with some old school rap. Going to go with Run DMC,
Hmm.
the first gold selling rap album, and for good reason. Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin produced this. I like Rick Rubin's production with his metal and rap albums that he did. So I love this album. It's so much fun. And yeah, so some people might say it's dated, but I don't, yeah, I guess it is, but it's a classic time capsule. I love it. It's, I'm going to pick the songs. It's hard because there's three or four really strong songs on here, but I'm going to go with the collaboration with Aerosmith, Walk This Way, which revolutionized music, brought in rock and rap together. I think that was the big talent of Run DMC, is they really liked rock and roll music and they would bring a lot of that in. And then the title track, Raising Hell, is just one of the great boasting songs of all time. And, I hear a lineage between rap music and the blues. when I hear a boasting song because Raising Hell isn't that different than, say, Muddy Waters' I'm a Man. I can make love to a woman in 5 minutes time. I mean, the blues had a long tradition of boasting, and I think that carried over into rap. So, Raising Hell, Walk This Way, and the title track, Raising Hell.
And you mentioned how what an important band they were. If it weren't for Run DMC, we never would have had the Beastie Boys, a bunch of punks who heard this rap and decided to try their hand at it. Okay, yeah, yeah. So great album there. And again, another really important one. Okay, my number nine is Paul Simon's Graceland. Um, and again, it's like my favorite Paul Simon album. Paul Simon's a great songwriter and a great musician. He anthologizes well, except for Graceland. Every song, almost every song is really excellent on Graceland. And so, if you're going to own Paul Simon, you need to get the essential Paul Simon and then get Graceland also, because it's just he was really getting involved with third world stuff, and a lot of people were at the time, Peter Gabriel and others. But Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel, this is just a beautiful gem of an album. And the two tracks that I mean, it's really hard to choose because I would choose almost any song, but The Boy in the Bubble. Um,
Mhm.
and these are the days of miracle and wonders. Um, and great lyrics, The Boy in the Bubble and with the baboon heart. And then the other one has Ladysmith Black Mambazo singing on it with him, diamonds on the soles of diamonds on the soles of her shoes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, will remain to be seen if I've got that on my list. But
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sure you do.
Paul Simon, Graceland, great album. My number nine, XTC, got him on here. Skylarking, produced by Todd Rundgren. And of course, now we get to read about all the tension between Todd and Andy Partridge. But of course, we didn't know about it at the time. Now, a little caveat here, Dear God was eliminated from the original pressing. So at number nine is Skylarking with the track Dear God, because I think you got to get that on there. Um, yeah, XTC, you're talking about them moving towards a more pastoral feel and a more English feel, and this is definitely that. Todd did a great job reining the band in with some of their um, impulses. I think he is a great tastemaker on here as a producer. And I talked about the song Dear God, but I am going to go with two different songs. I'm going to go with just a personal favorite called Seasons Cycle. Yeah, it's a deeper track, but I love that song. And then Earn Enough for Us, which is so catchy, just a real earworm. And we've talked about XTC extensively through these lists. We're both big fans. So that's my number nine, XTC Skylarking.
Yes, it's an amazing album. And you know, now that the dust has settled, Andy Partridge has admitted that Todd knew what he was doing. It's just that you had two really big egos fighting it out. But if Todd hadn't been there, it would have been a very different album. He gave them a new sound. He gave them a psychedelic sound that led them to later work that they were doing, both the Dukes of Stratosphere and their later XTC work. So yeah, love that album. Glad you chose that one. Okay, next is an artist that I mean, I've loved her stuff almost her entire career, but she doesn't show up too much on the lists, because great albums, but not as good as some of the others. But this one is, and this is Joan Armatrading with Sleight of Hand. Um,
Uh,
and it has her playing electric guitar, and it has a real edgy electric feel to it. People don't tend to think of Joan Armatrading as being uh, they don't tend to think of her as being experimental. They think of her, oh, she's a folkie, but she really, from album to album, she tried different things. And so this one has the two tracks that I put with the single, Kind Words and a Real Good Heart, and the other is Reach Out. So
hmm.
Joan Armatrading, Sleight of Hand, Kind Words and a Real Good Heart, and Reach Out.
Yeah, I owned that on vinyl, and I haven't listened to that in a long time, but I like that pick a lot. So my
Even
number eight, oh, you were going to say something?
even the cover picture is of her with an electric guitar, which kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to sound like.
Hmm. Absolutely. My number eight, produced by T-Bone Burnett. I've got the Costello Show. That's the moniker on the album, but it's Elvis Costello, King of America. Yeah, I like this. I like this turn towards rustic music. Of course, he would go on to do this repeatedly in the future with albums like National Ransom. So, yeah, Costello is an artist that became interested in roots music. Um, Earlier, I think, with his Almost Blue Country album. So, yeah, Costello started off as kind of a punk, but he started to turn more towards Americana. And I like the sound of this album. It's great. And there's many good songs. I like the song Lovable, but I'm not going to pick that one because there's two really outstanding tracks on here I think you have to go with. Brilliant Mistake and Indoor Fireworks. Those would be my two favorite songs. But yeah, and Costello did two albums this year. The other one was with the Attractions. This one only has limited playing by any of the members of the Attractions. I think the Thomases play on one track. I don't even know if Steve Naive's on here at all. But you have just a buttload of session musicians, including James Burton and T-Bone Burnett himself, and you got, I think David Hidalgo's on here, and yeah, but it's really well recorded and well engineered, as Burnett always is. And so number eight, The Costello Show.
Great album. So far, I'm really happy with your choices, but that I usually am. Uh, my number seven is the album that finally won my wife Cindy over to this band. She just kind of was, was meh about them, even though I loved them. And I kept playing them. And then this album came out, and I believe this was their switch to a major label, from SST, and that's Husker Du with Candy Apple Gray. And the production, it's still Husker Du, it's still very melodic, but the production is a bit less buzzsaw guitars, a lot cleaner, and you've got some really interesting tracks on there. Um, you've got Don't Want to Know If You Are Lonely, which is a Grant Hart song and a really good Grant Hart song. But then the song that won Cindy over, and she just loves the song still, and it actually was a signpost towards what Bob Mould was going to do once the band broke up, and that's Hardly Getting Over It. A very, very different song for Husker Du. Mould is singing in a much more ballad style, and it's about friends of his who died in the last couple of years. And fortunately, I was not one of them because he convinced me not to kill myself. but but hardly getting over it. Yeah, yeah. Went to a record store and talked to a guy who had just turned 30. Um, but I'm hardly getting over it. Yeah, okay. So Candy Apple Gray by Husker Du. Don't want to know if you are lonely and hardly getting over it.
Great. My number seven is Husker Du, Candy Apple Gray. So
Okay.
that was your number seven, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're both at number seven.
Yep.
Okay. This, even though it's not the most highly critically acclaimed Husker Du album, it's my personal favorite. I love Candy Apple Gray. It's really reined in. The next album has a lot more guitar freak out and guitar playing. This one is just really tight and concise, and I love it. Grant Hart and Bob Mould produced it. It's got a really clean sound, and the songs are fairly short, and it just goes along boom, 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 boom. Nice melodic pop songs. Maybe I like it because it's their best, some of their best melodies. Love it. I love your two songs. Those two songs are among my three favorites. And I did pick Hardly Getting Over It as the Bob Mould song, but for the Grant Hart song, my favorite song on the album is Sorry Somehow.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
Grant Hart just sings, he just shreds his vocal cords. It's great lyrics. It might be my all-time favorite Grant Hart song. Maybe I'd have to go through the catalog and think about it. But Sorry Somehow is just, and Grant Hart's the drummer, but he sings. And so, yeah, Sorry Somehow is just, man, I love his vocals on this song. So I'm going to go with Sorry Somehow and Hardly Getting Over It.
Two brilliant choices. And I can't argue at all with Sorry Somehow because I really thought about putting that one in as my alternate to, I mean, my second one. But I went with Don't Want to Know If You Are Lonely. I think both of them are equally
Hmm.
excellent. Okay. Number six, you mentioned it already, XTC, Skylarking. And it's it's an actual concept album. It's a the it's a suite of songs that it kind of takes place in the course of a day out in the country. Um, for audio files, there was an interesting thing happened a few years ago, and they found that Todd, and this is really unusual since Todd is a great engineer, but the album was recorded the wrong way. It was a little bit slightly off, okay? And I don't even notice the difference. However, if you really want to hear the alternate version, get the one that has the genitalia on front and back covers. It has a close up of a woman's genitalia with leaves all around it. And then on the back, there's a man's penis with leaves all around it. And those were originally the front and back cover, but America was sort of no, and so they have a different cover. But it's is it worth buying for that cover? No, but it's worth it if you really want to hear um, a slightly different sound to the album. I have both of them on my computer, and if I do an A/B comparison, I can sometimes hear the difference. Otherwise, no. I mean, it's very minor, the differences on them. But this is XTC Skylarking, and the two songs that I chose were you chose Earn Enough for Us, and so did I. That was the single. And then Cullen Moulding's Grass,
Mm.
Things We Did on Grass. Just, a little obvious double entendre going on there.
Wow. Yeah, I fully expected that to be in your top 10. Absolutely. Yeah, so no surprise there, but I am surprised by the song choices. Neither one of us picked Dear God. That's interesting.
Well,
So,
maybe because I was when I got the XTC album Skylarking when it first came out, and then I bought the single of Earning Enough for Us, the 12-inch single, and the B-side was Dear God. And so it was relegated originally to a B-side, and I always tend to think of it that way. It's a really good song, but it doesn't really it's not it doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the sound of the album.
yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of an outlier and it's yeah, a little prescriptive maybe, but still a great song. Yeah, so my number six. All right. So it's one of our mutual favorite artists, and sometimes he makes my lists and sometimes he doesn't, but this is Van Morrison. No guru, no method, no teacher. One of his, I don't know, six or seven best albums. It's great. Yeah, absolutely. So it's typical of this period. It's basically spiritual Van Morrison. And I love it. I think the songs are really strong. And I'm going with In the Garden, which is basically the title track. No guru, no method, no teacher, but he calls it In the Garden. And of course, it beckons back to Brown Eyed Girl, Misty Wet with Rain. And it's just one of Morrison's top songs. And the other one was a little hard to pick, but I'm going to go with Here Comes the Night, Knight, Knight, which is also hearkening back to them. It's just a different spelling, but it doesn't sound anything like Here Comes the Night by them. This one is a very romantic song and chivalry. Yeah, knights and chivalry, but always well produced. Van Morrison produced it and always beautiful sounding. The band's great. He's got all the usual people on here like David Hayes on bass and yeah, just great album. Can't say enough about it. Number six, Van Morrison.
Beautiful, beautiful album. My number five, REM, Life's Rich Pageant. And REM was still plugging along on IRS and being the best, in my opinion, the best American indie rock band going on at the time in the mid 80s. I don't think anybody else really came close at the time. And Life's Rich Pageant is not the best album as far as individual songs, but it really coheres as an album. And there's a pop ballad, Fall on Me, which I chose. But then there's a great rocker, I Believe, and I have to I laugh every time I listen to it because Michael Stipe is singing all the things he believes, and at one point he says, "I believe my throat hurts." Uh, um, Fall on Me and I Believe from REM Life's Rich Pageant.
Great song picks. Yeah, I love that album. Number five for me. All right, so every single album on here pretty much is an album that I've been listening to for years, years, and years and years. Number five is an exception. This is an album I've only discovered in the last 10 or 15 years. It's Talk Talk, The Color of Spring. Uh, just love his vocals. I can't even remember the name of the singer, but it's great. Color is spelled the British way, Colour. And yeah, it's just, I started listening to it because it got so many critical raves. And I love this. It's produced by a guy named Tim Freese Green. Don't know a lot about him. I did look it up, and he's produced a few other things, but Color of Spring. So, man, we're talking about a five-star album here, so I could pick any song, but I'm gonna go with Life's What You Make It and Living in Another World. Just beautiful, ethereal British music. I don't know. I just love Talk Talk's Color of Spring. So yeah. And I don't know everything about their catalog. I haven't listened to all of their albums, but I like this one quite a bit.
Mark Hollis, who just passed away about a year or so ago, and had a wonderful voice. As a matter of fact, his voice reminds me a lot of a a, a singer that I sort of know. I mean, we talk to each other through um, Facebook and Messenger, and that is Hugh Lloyd Jones from the original singer from Also Eden, and he has a voice very much like Mark Hollis. Um, Cindy and I first discovered Talk Talk from MTV, and they were still kind of I mean, they were experimental, but not. This was their most mainstream album, and that was "It's My Life." It was the song, but yeah, your choice is uh, fantastic choice.
Yeah,
And they're
I do remember It's My Life. I remember when that song came
all right. So number four, remember Bebop Deluxe? Bill Nelson, who decided he stopped around the time of the end of Bebop Deluxe at the end of the 70s. Bill Nelson got fed up with what he called playing with a giant phallus, referring
out.
to the guitar. And so he started doing EBow guitar and keyboards. But then he came back with a vengeance as the brilliant burning guitar player that he is, with a very spiritual album, Getting the Holy Ghost Across. And
Hmm.
you might find different covers for it. The first cover was a white one with a lot of runic symbols on it. The more recent one on CD has a red cover, but it's the same album. Um, and it's and on it, Bill Nelson's voice is fantastic, but his guitar playing is equal to anything he did with Bebop Deluxe, especially on the song um, "Because of You," which is the last main song. I'm nailed to the cross of love because of you, and then the guitar just takes off. But the other song I would choose is it's like the bookends. There's these little instrumentals begin and end, but if you delete those, you've got the first one, Contemplation, and the second one, Because of You. And I believe that both of these, Gene, you're going to have a little trouble putting together your playlist because due to contractual reasons, these songs are not on Spotify. However, there is uh, a live album from just a couple of years ago where Nelson both sings and plays guitar very much the same, and it definitely has Contemplation. I'm not sure if it has Because of You or not on it, but it does have Contemplation. I can check real quickly. Um,
Okay.
it, it's a
Yeah, getting the
Holy Ghost Across, which was also in America a slightly different version of it called On a Blue Wing. I forgot to check to see if that's on Spotify, but I'm pretty sure it's not because I was looking for the song Contemplation. And
I used to own On a Blue Wing.
yeah, On a Blue Wing is the American version of it. Um,
Oh,
okay.
so
And
yeah, I
then
used to own that. So Contemplation is on an album called Live in Concert, Metropolis Studios, London.
yes, and is because of the you on that one also.
I don't see that on here. So we'll just put the one
Yeah.
song then, I guess.
Okay.
Let me just check real quick. For the viewers, this will only take a second. So thank you for indulging us. Because of you, Bill Nelson.
Yeah, I don't believe it's.
Um, Now I could, if you would like, it's up to you. But we do have Because of You by Willie Nelson. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure. Bill Nelson, Willie Nelson. Yeah, they're basically the same guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I joke, of course.
just check out that live album and find, another one, or there was something else from around the mid 1980s, and you can probably find something. Let's see. Let me check Spotify real quick because you can cut this stuff out. Uh,
Thanks, viewers, for indulging us.
yeah.
Yeah, if it's a favorite album, it's a favorite album. If it's not on Spotify, it screws up our playlist. But I had some albums that I wanted to pick for our things, and when there was no when it wasn't on Spotify, it was kind of a tough choice whether or not to put it up there or not. But yeah, we should be genuine. So yeah,
What?
we'll
Why don't you
we'll figure it
also?
out.
Why don't you choose a song that's very similar to it? It was just before it, Vistamix, and choose either The Real Adventure or Flaming Desire. Flaming Desire would be a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I used to own Vistamix too. I owned quite a bit of Bill Nelson on vinyl. I remember that. So, yeah, wow, great pick. I knew you liked him. Yeah, so I can't say I'm surprised. My number four, this is where I have The Queen is Dead by the Smiths. So, yeah, I like this a lot. Number one on Rate Your Music. This is the top
I
album.
knew you would. I knew you would. Yeah.
And, I didn't listen to this album when it came out. It took me a few years to catch up to it. Probably in the 90s is when I discovered the Smiths. And I think that's because they weren't played on radio that I can recall in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't recall hearing the Smiths or the Cure on the radio. Um, so I think that was one of the reasons I was a little bit late to them. But I've picked two completely different songs. So that's cool that we're going to get four songs from this album.
It
But
deserves it.
my two favorite songs, are you ready?
Yep.
Are Big Mouth Strikes Again and There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. Love those two songs, mainly because of Morrissey's lyrics. Um, I th Big Mouth Strikes Again. Is that the one with the double-decker bus? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But,
If a double deck. Yeah, got it.
it just love that song. It's yeah, Big Mouth Strikes Again. There is a light that never goes out. So number four, The Smiths. The Queen is Dead.
All right. My number three, Elvis Costello and the Costello Show, King of America. And the uh it's a kind of funny that an Irish British singer should get into Americana, but that's basically because of T-Bone Burnett. But it has a very Americana sound to it. And I agree, Brilliant Mistake is fantastic, but I have to add American Without Tears.
Mm.
Um, and to me, um, is I love the accordion on it, and it's just a very American song. Although Brilliant Mistake, she said that she was working for the ABC News. It was as much of the alphabet as she knew how to use.
Yeah, hasn't
And
missed his lyrical talent there at all.
so King of America with American Without Tears, um, and Brilliant Mistake.
All right, so my top three, um, are not going to be a surprise. Oddly enough, only one of these albums gets 5 stars on All Music. That includes my number three and number two picks. So number three, not a perfect album. So maybe that's why I didn't get 5 stars, but it's pretty damn close to 5 stars. Peter Gabriel, So, produced by Peter Gabriel and Daniel Lanois. So a lot of great tracks on here. I fully expect this to be on your list. Um, I've been playing this album since it came out and have loved every minute of it. So what's that been? 40 years since this album came. Oh yeah, it's 2026, so it's been 40 years. And I love the sound of this album. And I like the way that he's kept some of his international feel, bringing in people like El Shankar and Youssou N'Dour. By the way, I had tickets to see Youssou N'Dour. And in between when I bought the ticket and when he was supposed to perform at Scottsdale Center for the Arts was 9/11, the Twin Towers. And so being a Muslim, he canceled his tour. But I would have loved to have seen Youssou N'Dour. Um, so I'm going to go with a couple obvious choices. Be interesting to see what your choices are. But I'm going with Sledgehammer because it's just so wickedly funny and sexual and triple triple entendres in this song, and of course a groundbreaking video. And then I think you have to go with "In Your Eyes," the duet with Youssou N'Dour. That's so wonderful. But lots of good songs on here. Peter Gabriel, "So" at number three.
Great album. Um, and I'll say something about In Your Eyes when I get there, because I have it coming up. Um, Number two, the only thing that is Peter Gabriel's "So" is the only thing that kept this from being number one. Van Morrison, "No Guru, No Method, No Teacher," one of his best albums. I agree with you. And like Eugene, I put "In the Garden." However, there's another song I just really, really love from this album, and that is "Tir na Nog,"
Mhm.
which is it's a Celtic afterlife, and he sings a lot about. He says the only way is to never come back, but of course we wouldn't want that, would you? Um, and in Tir na Nog, so in the garden and Tir na Nog from "No Guru, No Method, No Teacher," and it's Van being Van at his best. He was still being spiritual, but he wasn't really doing the Muzaki type thing. He was going back to the Van Morrison Celtic soul, and I
Mhm.
that's really what makes me love this album so much. It's very much Celtic soul.
Well, we agree on that one. We got a lot of agreement on this list. We're usually about half and half, but I think on this list we got a lot in common. And that's going to include my number two, another album that does not get 5 stars on All Music, but I love it. It's top 30 on Rate Your Music. It's REM, Life's Rich Pageant. So this was produced by Don Gemmon, who I mentioned last year's 85 because he produced John Mellencamp's Scarecrow. And then REM went into John Mellencamp's studio in Indiana and recorded with Don Gemmon. And it's got the same great sound that Scarecrow has. Scarecrow is a beautifully produced album, so is this one. And I think it's a pretty strong collection of songs. I love this. Yeah, it's less murky. That's a word I read today on Wikipedia. Less murky, more clear, and more concise and more rocking, but I think it works. I think it works a lot, enough for it to be my number two. Life's Rich Pageant, many great songs. I like the two that you picked. I picked two completely different songs. I love the opener, Begin to Begin. So Miles Standish Proud. I every time that song comes on, I sing the lyrics because I have them memorized. They're so stream of consciousness. Uh, just love Begin to Begin. Great opening rocker. And then I'm going to go with the song Cuyahoga, which has a wonderful melody, a real earworm that every time I hear that song, it just sticks in my head. But I love your picks. I could have gone with those just as easily. But yeah, number two, I'm surprised that I have this at number two. But REM Life Search Pageant. Love this album.
Cindy is notorious for mishearing lyrics. And on Cuyahoga, when Stipe sings, we knee skinned, like we skinned our knees, we knee skinned and river red. Cindy thought it was a song that it was about circumcision because she thought weenie skin and river red.
Is that going to embarrass her?
Probably, but I've
Does she
I've
watch
told her
these? Does she watch these?
she does sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's not watching now, but yeah, she will. She will. Um, weenie
He's
skin,
gonna go.
weenie skin and river red. You kind of wonder if Stipe did that on purpose. That's why she with Peter Hamill's painting by numbers. She thought he was singing Lady Magumba.
I
Um,
love misheard lyrics. Yeah.
okay, number one. And you said it may not deserve a 10. No, it deserves an 11. Peter Gabriel, so brilliant album. Um, the though I objectively, or I should say, I subjectively prefer his third album. Objectively, I have to say this is the best album that he has ever done. It's perfect in every way, except for one. Um, Red Rain is just an amazing song, which is apparently he said it's about capital punishment, and I can buy that, but it's a really really um, emotional song. And the other one that I would choose is his duet with Kate Bush, "Don't Give Up," where Kate Bush sounds like the voice of total love and support, which is what she's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be a guy during a bad time in the Thatcher years who's lost his job and things aren't going well. And the video is really beautiful also because they're turning around right at the time that she starts to sing, "Don't give up because you have us. Don't give up." And, really, really beautiful. How could I not put um, In Your Eyes, especially since it's probably one of my favorite songs by Peter Gabriel? Because you mentioned it's a duet with Youssou N'Dour. It's actually on this album. I'm just going to make a slight adjustment. I don't think it's so much a duet as Youssou N'Dour sings backing vocals and an alternate vocal on it. I have to have the live version that was recorded later. We'll get to that, in a year or
Uh,
so. That live version that goes on for 12, 13 minutes. And um, Gabriel and Youssou N'Dour are switching vocals back and forth. And it's like it should have been that way. It actually, um, that song is on the deluxe version of as they said that CD, that live CD is the Live in Athens. But I didn't choose it here because I chose it later for when it actually, was released.
and you are absolutely correct. It is not a duet, and I stand corrected on that. It was just poor choice of word, but yeah, it's because he doesn't even come in till past the middle of the song, I don't think so.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Kate Bush is a duet.
Yeah, so that's definitely a duet. Yeah.
Well, Peter Gabriel. So now you said all except one song. You consider it
I
a perfect.
No, no, I said there's the fact is that um, I think that in your eyes needs to be the full version, needs to be longer.
Okay.
I love the version that's on So, but it seems truncated.
Yeah, I understand that. So my number one, you probably guessed it because I haven't mentioned it yet. It's Graceland. So I am a Paul Simon fan. He tends not to make my top tens. There Goes Rhymin' Simon is a favorite album of mine, and it didn't make the list that year because it was such a loaded year. But Graceland, boy, this is Simon hitting everything. First of all, it's just beautifully recorded and beautifully engineered. This is a great album in the headphones. Love listening to it. His songwriting's top notch. The players, you got Ladysmith Black Mambazo and Los Lobos and the Everly Brothers and Linda Ronstadt and Rockin' Dopesy and the Zydeco Twisters. You got all these great guest musicians on here. On You Can Call Me Al, you got Michael Brecker and all these great horn players on there. So, yeah, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding it, but I don't care about that. It's not that I don't care about race relations or apartheid, but I just think that I just was very happy this came out because I love listening to him collaborate with all these musicians. Great album. Enough to be number one. Yeah, Paul Simon. I got him ahead of Peter Gabriel, which that's saying a lot because Peter Gabriel is a more of a top tier artist for me than Paul Simon is. But Paul Simon's a great lyricist. And the songs I went with are Boy in the Bubble. I love the alliteration, the boy in the bubble and the baby with a baboon heart, all that great alliteration. And then the title track, Graceland, the Mississippi Delta, showing just like a national guitar. It's a great song about going up with taking a trip to Memphis with his young son or stepson, whatever he is, from the from his first marriage. He describes that, and they're going up there, and he's hoping that he'll find something. But these great lyrics of, Graceland has those lyrics about. She said that she left as if I couldn't tell by the pillow on the bed, and I'm paraphrasing the lyrics, but losing love is like a window in your heart. Everybody sees the wind blow. I've forgotten the lyrics now. Everyone can see you're blown apart. Everyone can hear the wind blow. Something like that. It's beautiful, beautiful lyrics. I'm surprised I screwed that up because I do know it. It's up there. Uh, Graceland is one of Simon's best lyrics, I think. It's just sheer poetry. But yeah, you could go with a bunch of songs on here. So Graceland, number one for me.
Fantastic. Have you ever heard Big Daddy's version of the song Graceland?
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. It's done like Elvis, which is perfect, that it should be. He's like, go to Graceland, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee.
I
Okay.
love Big Daddy.
Yeah, they're great. They did an entire version of Sergeant Pepper, the Sergeant Pepper album.
Did
Um,
they?
yeah, yeah, which is good. But then Rammstein did a Sergeant Pepper album also, So. Oh, they did Let It Be. I'm sorry, they did Let It Be. Okay. Um, honorable mentions. These could all have been in my top 10. They are really, really powerful. I mean, it was a good year. It was a good year. When I piled the songs, I had uh over 25, and so I had to cut more than 10. But these are the ones that still should have been in the top 10. The Call, Reconciled. I discovered the Call when they first came out. We went and saw them. You were with me, right? We went and saw them and they just, I've seen them. I saw them several times before. Michael Biehn unfortunately died. But I even saw them open for Todd Rundgren at the Celebrity Theater.
Mm.
Um, so they saw them several times. And the song that I would choose is probably one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song by The Call. I Still Believe, subtitled Great Design. Um, then Genesis, Invisible Touch. And there's a song that is they're really still doing prog, at least with one song, and that's Domino Parts One and Two. And that's what I chose. You gotta go, Domino. Um, Peter Hamill, Skin, one of his most accessible albums. He not that he was trying to be more accessible. It's just that he was avoiding being unaccessible, if that makes sense. I mean, Peter Hamill from the beginning has been able to sing with a beautiful voice and with a frightening, monstrous voice. And he doesn't put much of the monstrous stuff in here. So, Skin, and this is a song, this is the album that has um, uh, Lady Magumba uh, painting by numbers, which is a song about art. But the song that I would choose is After the Show. Where do the actors go after
Mm.
the show? And then the other Elvis Costello album of the year, Blood and Chocolate, with the amazing um, blitzkrieg of a song, Tokyo Storm Warning. Um, and it's like just this is Dylan-esque as far as all of the lyrics that just keep pouring out of Costello. It's a fairly lengthy song, and it's something that you would never have heard on King of America. So it's understandable why he made two different albums, Blood and Chocolate with the Attractions, and King of America. Blood and Chocolate, Tokyo Storm Warning. And then my last one, and these aren't in any particular order, but a band that this is a band that very few people know about. And that's the Jazz Butcher. And I have most of the Jazz Butcher albums. Um, he's one of these weird, quirky English guys that never has really this stuff just hasn't it didn't come across in America. But I had some friends at the record store who told me about them, and this was the album I first found out about them with. And the album is Distressed Gentlefolk. And uh, it has some really fun songs like Hungarian Love Song. I'll be your breakfast, I'll be your dinner. You won't get hungry, you won't get thinner. But my favorite song from here is the closing track, and it's just beautiful. After all these years, after 40 years, I was listening to it just yesterday, and I was still getting chills. Angels. And he's talking about, and talks about these angels coming down on motorcycles. But when he says, I want to hold you up, I want to pick you up, and it's like, the lyrics don't really make sense, but they don't have to. They're just so beautiful. Angels. So that's from the Jazz Butcher, Distressed Gentlefolk. Those
Wow.
are my.
The Jazz Butcher. I'm really glad you mentioned The Call Reconciled because I just overlooked that album. Could have been, probably would have made my list. Yeah, might have made my list. I overlooked it. I love the song Oklahoma. That's
Mhm.
great. So thank you for getting that on there. So I don't feel as badly now. And my honorable mentions, man, you talk about mixed genres. Holy moly. These five albums are about as radically different as you could pick. Now, the first two I'm going to talk about, this was the year that saved country music. You had three new country artists that came in, and I'm picking two of them. Dwight Yoakam, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc. Produced by Pete Anderson. Great album, Dwight Yoakam's debut. He both manages to be a little bit of an outsider and commercially successful at the same time. I don't know how he balances that, but I would go with the title track, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc. But there's several good songs on here. And then the other country artist I'm going to pick is Steve Earle, Guitar Town, and produced by Emory Gordy Jr. and Tony Brown. Uh, yeah, I remember when these two albums came out, it was just like, wow, country music is back. And I'm going to go with the song Good Old Boy Getting Tough, but there's several good songs on here. So yeah, Dwight Yoakam and Steve Earle. Now, let's switch gears from country. This one's going to surprise you, but I am going to go with Bad Brains, the
Oh
hardcore
yeah.
out of Washington, D.C. I like Bad Brains. This is their first album for SST. They recorded on Roar. You know, I was going to pull it out for show and tell. I have the Roar cassette of the first Bad Brains album. That's worth a lot of money now. It's worth about $50. And I like Bad Brains. So I Against I, produced by Ron St. Germain. Probably going to go with the song Reignition. I'll make up my mind when I do the honorable mentions playlist. But HR's vocal style, I just watched a documentary on them because I realized that I don't know that much about Bad Brains. So I just filled myself in last week. He's still alive. He has schizophrenia and doesn't really perform that much anymore. But and he has these headaches all the time. So unfortunately, he cannot really. He's too unreliable to perform. But Bad Brains, holy smokes, are those guys intense? And I love it. If you're not familiar with them, they're an all African American hardcore band from Washington, D.C., that also does reggae music. There's no band like them. All right, my next honorable mention. What would you get if Prince produced Michael Jackson, if they collaborated? We'll never know, right? Well, maybe. We do have The Time, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis producing Janet Jackson, the kid sister of Michael Jackson. This is Janet Jackson's Control, her debut. I've always loved the sound of this album. It's great. It's great. I'll probably go with the song Nasty. A lot of good songs in here. You know what? She's a better singer than she gets credit for. Her vocals sound a little thin on a couple tracks, but there is one track on there, and can't remember the name of it. I think it's He Doesn't Know I'm Alive. She really sings, she really belts it out on that song. I think she's a better singer than people give her credit for. And my last one, I just bumped this week, I just bumped Sonic Youth off my list to make room for Jennifer Warren's
Hmm.
famous Blue Raincoat. Have you ever heard this album?
Yes, yes, I have it on vinyl. She does covers of her hero, Leonard Cohen.
It's a great album. And I had it on CD. And I just want to tell a quick story. I was selling my collection on Discogs, and I had this album listed for $29.99. I had it listed for $30. And I thought, no one's going to buy it. This lady contacted me from China, and she says, "You don't have China on your approved countries." I said, "No, I don't." She says, "I would like this album. Would you consider adding China to your list?" And I told her, "Yeah, I could do that, but it's going to cost you $30 in shipping." She said, I don't care. So I sold it to her for $60. Um, yeah, unusual story, but my favorite song on here, hands down, is the title track, Famous Blue Raincoat. I actually like her version better than I do Leonard Cohen's, and that's saying a lot. I think it's my favorite Leonard Cohen song. That and maybe Tower of Song are two of my favorite Leonard Cohen songs. She just knocks Famous Blue Raincoat out of the park, and she's got a stellar cast of guest musicians on here, including Stevie Ray Vaughan and Robin Ford. Yeah, it's great. So, Dwight Yoakam, Steve Earle, Bad Brains, Janet Jackson, Jennifer Warnes. How's that for a mixed bag?
It's great. If that's one of your favorite songs by Leonard Cohen, you really need to check out H Natural, Steve Hogarth, in his solo um, performances. He did he would tour with piano, Steve Hogarth of Marillion, and he frequently did that song,
Oh,
and
wow.
does a great version of it.
Okay, you want to talk about who you've seen live? We've been doing that as a tradition.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so seen Joan Armatrading, seen Husker Du, seen REM, seen Elvis Costello, seen Van Morrison, seen Peter Gabriel from my top 10. That's quite a few. Seen
yeah,
The Call, seen Genesis, and that's with Phil Collins. Seen Peter Hamill, again, Elvis Costello. The only one on my honorable mentions that I never saw was The Jazz Butcher.
hmm. What was his real name?
It's something Fish. Let me look it up. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
he died what, maybe 3 years ago or something like that.
Did he? Ah,
Oh, you
I
didn't
didn't.
know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Ah,
Actually, the Distressed Gentlefolk is by the Jazz Butcher Conspiracy, which is the just it's the same thing, but it's a different. They added an extra word. Pat Fish,
yeah,
PATFISH,
I want to make sure that I didn't say something
20,
that's
21,
not accurate.
October
Pat,
21.
21. So when I said 3 years, it's been about 5 years, huh?
Yeah.
2021. Yeah, you didn't know he passed away, huh?
No, no. It the on his first album, he said, "I'm the Jazz Butcher, and my meat is the best."
So died of a heart attack, they think. And he was, see, he was born in 57.
Yeah, he's just a little bit younger than me, but now he's always going to be younger than me.
So maybe 64, I think he was. Yeah. Okay, well, you've seen more people than I have, and I predicted that this would happen, this would go down. But I've seen Paul Simon once on the double bill with Bob Dylan. They flipped a coin, and Paul Simon went first. He opened with Boy in the Bubble, and that was great. Um, and then Dylan came on. They were both great sets. My least favorite part of the show was when the two were on stage together. I was sitting in the audience going, "Where's Art Garfunkel when you need him?" Uh, they don't harmonize very well, in my opinion. Anyway, I've seen Paul Simon. I've seen REM 4 times. I've seen Peter Gabriel once, Van Morrison twice, Husker Du once, Elvis Costello 3 times, XTC once. I have never seen the Smiths, Talk Talk, Run DMC, Dwight Yoakam, Bad Brains, Steve Earle, Janet Jackson, Jennifer Warren. So most of the people on here I've never seen. And yeah, this is the first year where, yeah, it's going down a little bit as I predicted. So, well, that's it. What's your compared to the other years in the 80s, how would you characterize 1986?
I think it's one of the best. It has some albums that are just totally um, gold for me. So yeah, I think it was a great year. Like I said, I had over 25 albums picked, and it was really hard to narrow it down. I also felt horrible about having to cut out Sonic Youth.
Yeah, Evol's a good album. EVOL, however you want to pronounce it. And then The Call Reconciled, like I say, I just overlooked that. So there were maybe 17 albums that I really liked. It wasn't as deep a year as some other years, but the top 10 I feel pretty wild about. I really like this top 10. So I think it was strong at the top and maybe not the deepest year, but certainly good for what we're for a top 15. It was a good year.
Little bit of trivia. Um, Michael Bean from The Call sang on the album So, and Peter Gabriel sang on Reconciled.
Yeah.
Back backing vocals.
Yeah, they were closely linked, and yeah, The Call were a great live band. Holy moly. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen them.
a lot of energy.
So I saw the one at after the Gold Rush on a hot July or August night where he was like a preacher possessed. And then I saw the show they did with Harry Dean Stanton. So I went to those two shows with you. Yeah, it was great. All right. Well, I think we're ready to wrap it up. You got a salutation for everybody?
Uh, Aloha.
Which means hello and goodbye. Yep.
Yep.
And as we say here in Bonita, Mexico, buen dia.